Con todo derecho, un lugar sin rumores ni fantasmas. Con todo derecho, un lugar sin rumores ni fantasmas.
As you all see, the government of President Javier Milei entered an opulent stage of abundance. Now we are going to associate Opipers with Carolina Paparo. And the idea of post-traumatic stress. Gustavo told you in War How through an article by Roberto Garcia. CFK communicated through emissaries with President Javier Milei to propose among themselves candidate judges for the Argentine Supreme Court CSJN. You saw through another WAR video how Martin Mina, the Minister of Security and Human Rights, head of the Provincial Police of Buenos Aires, sent to harass and annoy me a police patrol car of the PDA, who is Cristina Kirchner's emissary to deal with the candidates for judges of the Supreme Court. This Mina also has extensive experience in the intelligence agency AFI of the governments of Cristina Kirchner. You saw how shamelessly a patrol car came to my house to bother and disturb me. These actions were also transferred to the street by the PVA police. Now it occurred to them, between the government of Governor Alex Kicillof and the federal government of Javier Milei, to blackmail me with the availability of a medicine in the pharmacy that I usually attend. But the most serious problem that exists is that if I want to go to another pharmacy, they will also intercede so that I cannot get the medicine or nor allow me to order such medication. As I said yesterday to the Europeans, the province of Buenos Aires is large. It is 45% smaller than mainland European France. So like the ill-educated little children of the government of Javier Milei with his side, which is managed by his ill-educated sister Karina Milei and his advisor Santiago Caputo, plus the ill-educated CIA of President Donald Trump, plus the ill-educated, abusive and torturing satellite, plus harasser and abuser of Martin Mina, they were looking for me to go to the federal capital of Cava to look for the remedy. Where the media promotes the new Minister of National Security Montioliva as very pleasant. The medicine is worth the same as a cotton pack of any brand, nothing more than prescribed by a doctor. So, the Argentine media are in a sumptuous plan. Stress, causing stress to Gustavo. Since Gustavo is in this situation of harassment, extortion and mistreatment by the Argentine state, we tell you there in Martin Mina's video of the harassment of the PVA provincial police, since I went on vacation with my wife Lorena with their daughter Melody in February 2010. Later Gustavo separated from Lorena and went to Brazil to find out who owned the satellite. Because Lorena constantly harassing and extorting me, anyone can TV with someone who was harassing and extorting other. The best was separating of Lorena when intelligence agency make her bully me on the stairs. Her bully me and pushed me on the stairs to provoke a gender violence. So they wanted to a gender violence with Lorena, my couple. I said, stop, these criminals are capable of doing to anything to frame me or cause me problems. Their method of harassment and mistreatment against Gustavo is excessive, lavish, they get involved with anything. They know the whole story, but they overwrite story. They overwrite on the true story. Now we are going to present new witnesses in the Lorena Annabella false case. Well, as we tells you as witnesses Lorena herself, 5 people Lorena family and Rosa Ramos and 2 daughters who are all adults, and Claudia Gomez and her daughter, Melanie, are also Mariano Miguez and his family. Mariano lives near in Tortuguitas. Another pattern that is repeated in this case is teachers. Mariano's wife is called Andrea, whose name is used as a key in the fashion with 2 Romanian models, Andrea Diaconu and Andrea Stancu. Andrea Miguez is a school principal in the neighborhood where they lives in Tortuguitas. She crossed the square and there's the elementary school where she was worked the last time that I saw them, around 2012 or 2013. She ran the elementary school in her neighborhood. Here the information always comes from my surroundings, or the media, or the satellite itself, or the surroundings neighbors, or the provincial police PVA. One day when I was going to San Martin Avenue and 197 route to see my brother, police PVA put me on the street while a period of time I was seeing Mariano and his family. Police put a stopped Volkswagen Senta on the street with 2 women with black bags pushing the car. The current wife, when she was dating Mariano, told me, I'm going to lend my car, but don't say anything to Mariano. The 2 of us went out alone in her car, so you could see that Andrea and I were friends. We were friends. It is corrected in the Spanish version. In 2004 when I was working at RAINAP, I called Mariano to help me with a flat tire. That's how I know that his little blue Volkswagen was stolen in a parking lot of a large supermarket near his house. But this has the quality and capacity of the media, Argentinians, American, and all the police. What things, to make you responsible for any robbery that happened, here in Buenos Aires, or in Mar del Plata. The intelligence told me, that in the street they put the same burgundy color Volkswagen with 2 women pushing the car with black bags. Burgundy with black bags, they tell you everything. See you the red, code red, the intelligence news that I was going to Mariano's house that week. Mariano in those years, I don't remember exactly what date it was, whether it was 2012 or 2013. I told Mariano take me in his work rest day to the Canadian Embassy and the Australian Embassy, because I knew I was being monitored and the Buenos Aires Police PVA were chasing me here and the Federal Police PFA. They're in federal capital, so I made Mariano take me so he could keep my portfolio. And also, the neighbors always made violation of home and privacy, allowed by the intelligence from Cristina and the PVA police. They came in here to sabotage my house, to break, steal or sabotage my house. Like threats, if you don't do what we want there will be consequences. Since they knew I was going to Mariano's house to visit Mariano that weekend, the gentleman notified me beforehand. They warned me about what they were going to do that Sunday when I arrived at the Mariano's house. We were alone at Mariano's house, just the family and we having lunch and the TV was on. I knew I'm being monitored, so everything that's in front of me on TV goes to the satellite. So, the TV just like they program all the device, the TV is programmed, the radio, the TV is going programmed for them and it was TV Argentina. Well, I don't remember what program was on, but I sat perpendicular to the TV in the dining room, so I don't have to see TV, you know, so I can calmly talk to my friends. So we were there one Sunday with Mariano, his wife and sons. Suddenly his older sister arrives, who is also a school teacher, came along. Don't be surprised because there are many Buenos Aires school teachers in this story. The PBA police and the school teachers in Clarín, don't be surprised. Now, you'll understand why those four are witnesses against Clarín holding by the false Annabella Lorena case. I had already told Mariano about the persecution I suffered by the state. I think the first complaints as well. This situation is fully documented by the Argentine government, the Argentine media, and by Europe, including US satellite through NATO members in Europe, and obviously US. Then the sister Silvana arrives and comes with a teenage daughter who would be, I don't know, around Melody's age, well, 12 or 13 years old. Her name is Valeria. I don't know her name was Valeria. Then they're acting for the monitoring, for Argentine TV. I repeat, it's all been documented. Then comes Valeria as the alter ego of Valeria Romero from Moron University. Pergolini's producer harassing inside the Argentine state harassing in the with my classmates. From what I knew they were harassing and defaming with minor crimes me. But there's a possibility, it wasn't as very likely, that just like Julio Andrada, from that time, they defame right now Gustavo with everything the Argentine state can think of, in that past time too. Then the sister came to the monitoring satellite to tell me that at a birthday party a bag had been stolen, and that it had been on the first floor. So this is before 2010, so I tell her, it's lie. I mean, I have nothing to do with this because this is linked to Quintanilla, Madonna's Quintanilla. Wait, then. I have nothing to do with it because I tell you. I have nothing to do with it, because I just discovered the upstairs apartment. One day when Mariano took me, on a Sunday when I came recently and they were all sleeping. I knew him up there, and up there was a mess. That day I went there was 2012. The rooms were brand new and there were only children's toys lying around. Just as monitor's prone to doing all of that, he's prone to doing all of that. Well, just as monitoring put the car on the street. He did a confrontation for all the media monitoring and the Argentine state and the CIA, about that situation that they invented. The fact that they invented that they blamed me. Well, that happened that Sunday where it was made perfectly clear that I had nothing to do with it. It's also notarized, but they never give up on this. They haven't given up on inventing for 15 years. They wanted to invent things in the past. Well, procedurally we already explained to everyone. The Argentine Republic, the US government that is being sued. The Argentine Republic that is being sued and the media and anyone else only have 5 business days before and 5 after. Why are there 5 business days? Because the satellite monitoring, the Argentine and US government, the media, and the neighbors are all committing flagrant crimes against Gustavo Galarza. Since they don't do intelligence work and they also spread everything that's here anyone else, the intelligence service should keep quiet, collect data and information, and present it to a judge for a legal case. These people do not create a court case, they just try to stress and cause fear Gustavo, in plenty about stressing Gustavo. The sword of Damocles, as Mariano Casal says is theirs, Infobis, Perfels, Clarins, Milei's, Cristina Kirchner's, the provincial governors S, Kicilloф's, Donald Trump's, but Gustavo's is not the sword of Damocles, it's theirs. And we told you, like that I'm Argentinian, I'm 52 years old, I have experience because I've been reading newspapers since I was 9 years old, and I mainly read the Clarín newspaper when I was a child. Well, my dad brought it. We were telling you that, since I have experience, we were telling you that President Javier Milei is in this same period. Cristina remembers when she go for everything. Well, Milei's in the same period as Cristina Kirchner, who calls Mariano Casal. Mariano Casal is by Mariano Miguez, my friend, we're telling you. And Casal for the Minister of Security and Human Rights of Daniel Scioli. Ricardo Casal, President Javier Milei is in the same situation as Cristina Kirchner. In 2007 when Cristina had corruption cases against her. From the 2007 election campaign, that it fell to federal judge Ariel Lijo and it's like the ephedrine case, the triple murder of General Rodriguez, which fell to federal judges Servini de Cubria and Ariel Lijo, you understand. It's at the same stage. And to add to that, the one proposed this week. The federal chamber that appointment Judge Ariel Lijo is a substitute in the Andes case. One of the members, Judge Martin Irazin, who is turning 75 years old, has to retire, so he is asking President Milei to extend his stay for 5 more years. So Javier Milei is in the same situation as Cristina Kirchner in 2007, both saying I'm going for everything, I'm going to keep everything. It like that, Gustavo have experience and say, look how I'm trembling. CFK went for everything and is there in San Jose 1111. So waiting for the second. case that condemns her, and waiting the judgment of the Hoser hotels. So the desperation of those who have the sword of Damocles is upon them. They came out to attack on Monday, February 16th with Mariano Casal, the INFOBAE's journalist. Senate without respite. Libertarians accelerate the commissions to bring a bunch of bills to the venue on Thursday the 26th. By the journalist Mariano Casal. There were articles I read that said Cristina had changed its strategy. That is, Cristina Kirchner, besides seeing Gustavo Galarza's video, the strategy is to provide all the power to Javier Milei, so that he can gloat that he was for everything. So Gustavo is stressed and afraid. Honestly, when I see President Javier Milei at the peace board for Gaza Strip, I get scared. I'm scared, very scared. The important thing is this threat from all of them against Gustavo. Casal says that the supremacy of the Libertarian Senate, plus the support of the dialogue-oriented opposition, and the fact that Kirchnerism are few in number in the committees, 5 or 6, are committees of 17 or 19 members where the Kirchnerism are only 5 or 6 senators. Casal says that they already have a group that used to be of Cristina Kirchner, here called the Federal Conviction, where they have a senator, so they asked to disassociate of the K, and it was already accepted. It has a senator named Sandra Mariela Mendoza. Sandra is named after Alejandra Chirali's sister. Sandra passed away, which has nothing to do with Gustavo Galarza. Ella is because of a cousin of mine who is the daughter of Raul Galarza, whose mother's name is Claudia. Just like Claudia Nieves, my cousin Claudia Nieves, and just like Claudia Gomez. Casal says that Sandra Mendoza, who is from Tucumán province, became known for being the sword of Damocles, where Mariano Casal emphasizes Damocles. Sure, he put in backwards. In the second, the Catamarca province, the rogue Guillermo Andrada. Then the K branch now has 4 or 5 left to place. The worst case scenario. The rogue is named by my colleague from Elucid, Argentina, Hector Vanilla. Alter ego was Hector Perez Picaro. Then there's Guillermo Andrada. There's Guillermo. Guillermo is the grandfather. Guillermo Chirali, just like Sandra, is dead. Guillermo Chirali too. And Andrada, my uncle Julio Andrada, they're threatening me with federal police PFA. He says to K branch, branch is Ramos, Rama is Ramos, they're threatening, Mendoza is it, the fabricated case between the French Rugby Federation, the Argentine government and CIA. The 2 rapid ones that they put there like tallow, one whose name was Oscar and Hugo. And both of the 20 years, they spent 2 months in prison, where, later it was discovered that it was a case invented by a supposed demented person. Now, the one who defended the French rugbyers was the brother of the Minister of Justice, Mariano Cuneo Liberona, Rafael Cuneo Liberona. They persists in the technique of putting there, a threats to Gustavo Galarza when everything is closed. Mariano Casal, let me explain, you only have 5 business days to go back. Of course, they came to threaten me with journalist Jorge Rial and his Carnival streaming channel, just like that. Of course, it was this week of Carnival. They came to threaten me with Jorge Rial and Carnival. Okay, we're telling you, this ends here for all Argentine and international journalists. Whenever you want to say Gustavo Galarza and whatever else they want to say, it doesn't matter, because I'm going to be the big beneficiary. But we explained to Jorge Rial that it surely wasn't any journalism school. But a school to steal my car stereo, like the one who stole my car stereo by the AFI of Cristina Kirchner where I lived in Villa Bosch there in the 10th apartment. In the middle apartment there were 2 the AFI agents who stole my car stereo from the same school was Jorge Rial. So but the theft of my car stereo comes with the driver's window of my car from the Ministry of Security of Buenos Aires with the AFI of Cristina Kirchner, and I changed it in Vicente Lopez. In Libertador Avenue, they gave me a late night date and the office was full of intelligence agents. Everyone there, they were pointing so that I would fall for the bait of the secretary girl who was leaving at that time that I was there. So, while they were changing the window, the girl got out and left the car there at the entrance, Volkswagen Gol, the key Gol. She left the passenger door open so I could go and get in. Obviously, I didn't get on. I let her go, which was very early on while I separated from Lorena. Now the question is whether Minister Stornelli, since he had ties to the AFI of Cristina, and the CIA, was trying to frame me as harasser or attacker of women because of Annabella and my classmates from Moron University. Carolina Faparo is a good example of the difference between a public person and a private person. That lady who became a congresswoman, or deputy, for the LLA that they campaigned for the Liz Milei. That lady was a private person and became a public person because she had an attack in a bank, and with that came the post-traumatic stress of the attack. Opipers are abundant. Gustavo, even though Gustavo's channel are on YouTube and can be seen by any audience, Gustavo there is no public person. He will only become a public figure when the mass media in Argentina or the world make Gustavo public. There, I will have the same equal rights as a public person, whether it's a politician, a businessman, an artist, or anyone else you see in the mass media. Gustavo Galarza is not a public person because no one was ever able to name him.